Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to 10 News at 2, streaming live on WBIR Plus. I'm Robin Wilhoit, and this is what we are digging into today. A change is coming to a Knoxville nonprofit that provides shelter for Knoxville's unhoused. Knox Area Rescue Ministries is now limiting the numbers of nights that its guests can stay at the shelter. We'll explain why and hear from the reporter Lauren Davis, who is working on that story. Plus, earlier today, I sat down with one of the biggest movers and shakers in East Tennessee. He is the president of UT. He is the owner of the Knoxville Smokies. He's a businessman. He's a philanthropist, and he's a big-time world runner. Randy Boyd, of course. He has got a big milestone ahead of him coming up Sunday, hitting his 100th half marathon. We're going to have my discussion with him coming up in just a few minutes, but first we turn to our wonderful meteorologist, Cassie Knoll, to talk about. Listen, it is a great conversation. Yeah. The man does it all. And
yeah,
then some.
That's what when you were going through his list of attributes, I was like, please list the running. His 100th half marathon. Sunday. Holy moly. Yes. Okay, well, we'll talk about the weather that's going to be related to that.
Yes, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and get a preview.
Let's dive right into the 7-day forecast. We don't have any rain chances.
So it's going to be a great day to run.
It is. It's actually going to be a little bit warm. Yeah, a lot of runners at the start of that race. We got lows in the low 50s, so that'll be the temperature at the beginning of the race. But for the folks who are not Randy Boyd, that are going to run a little bit slower, by the time they're finishing, especially the full marathon, which could take as much as 4 hours or more for some folks, it's going to start to get hot. And for the volunteers that are going to be out there, they're definitely going to want to dress in the layers so they can take off the jacket, maybe try to find shade, especially on the cleanup side of things, and just make sure folks have a lot of water, because having high temperatures in the low to mid 80s in early April is about 10 to 15 degrees above average. We've already had kind of a warm start to the spring season, but that's definitely going to be something that might take a little bit of an extra toll on people. So
stay hydrated.
Yes.
That's always the key. Okay, speaking of nice days, today is a perfect one, and you are at the perfect place to soak up the sun.
Yes. Earlier today, I was out at Covenant Health Park and for the Smokies baseball game. This is the second of a homestand against the Rocket City Trash Pandas, which admittedly is like my favorite team name.
That or the Biscuits.
Or the Montgomery Biscuit. I know, and it's a biscuit with like butter in its mouth on its tongue. It's a whole thing. Yeah, I love minor league teams, their names and stuff. But yeah, beautiful day to be out at the baseball stadium. And for the rest of that series, the weather's not going to be a problem.
All right. Cassie, as always, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Now to the news. Homelessness is a growing problem in Knoxville and East Tennessee and beyond that. Now a local nonprofit is changing how it manages its shelter downtown. I sat down with 10 News reporter Lauren Davis to talk about the changes coming to Knox Area Rescue Ministries. Here's our conversation. Lauren, thanks for joining us. Let's dig a little deeper into what this change is and how it's playing out at CARM.
So CARM is changing from having permanent emergency shelter to only doing 28 days for everyone. And during that time, people are giving a case manager if they want to continue to stabilize their lifestyles, like get a house, get a job, then they're able to continue to stay at CARM for after this 28 days. But if they decide that they don't want that at this point, then they will be giving their bed away.
Yeah. So why this decision to change the amount of time that people can stay there given their circumstances?
So the amount of beds that CARM has is 330 during this time of year, 370 when it's colder, but they said there's thousands of people that are unhoused in Knoxville. So they notice if you continue to just let people stay without having them do any services to help them get out, they're just going to stay in that cycle. But they've noticed from other shelters around the country where if you give people a set amount of time that you can stay there and you give them access to services, it helps them elevate.
And that is interesting in that they went and sought out best practices from other shelters. Tell me more about that, because that seems like it makes sense. You want to get the best situation. Who do you go to? Those who are doing it.
Yes, so they looked at a shelter in Denver, they looked at a shelter in Atlanta, and they also have 28 days, 30 days, one even has a week for emergency shelter. And again, once people show that they are ready to get a job, get a house, get out of homelessness, then they're able to continue to stay. If people aren't ready for that, then they'll give their bed to someone who is.
And the mission is you want to lift people up, give them what they need to take that next step on their own. You don't want to make it such that they don't want to take that step, and thus the reason for this change.
Yes, so they did a survey last year and they said over 80% of the people said they want case management services, which is something that they previously didn't offer. It was just, okay, you can stay here. You don't have to get any access to services, but they want to help people with their health. They want people to be able to apply for a driver's license identification, and that case manager helps you and also holds you accountable.
Accountability, that's big. Were you able to talk to any people, any guests at CARM about this change and how it's impacting them?
Yes, so I spoke to a guest because they started this Monday, April 6th for their new guest, and then they're doing it over 2 months for the current guest. And she said it will take some getting used to, but also she is in a place where she wants to have her own home. She wants to have a job, and so she understands why they're doing it.
Yeah, it's about empowering people. And lastly, you talked about, yes, the need that they are providing, but clearly the need is great out there when it comes to housing the unhoused.
Yes, I believe they said there's over 2,000 unhoused people in Knoxville, and CARM only having 330 beds. Salvation Army doesn't have that many, so the amount of beds we have is not enough for the amount of people, which is why they want to be like, okay, you're ready to move on, get these people through, and then be able to get more people off the streets and into homes.
All right. Lauren, your story we can see later today on 10 News. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robin.
And stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, the Knoxville Half Marathon coming up this weekend, and you will be at the starting line, right?
I will be at the starting line, hopefully with a little luck at the finish line as well. But I'm only at the finish line for the half marathon.
This is, correct me if I'm wrong, your 100th?
This will be my 100th half. So a few years ago, actually about 10 years ago, I set a goal to do a marathon on every continent, to do the 7 majors, which is the majors all around the world, and to do 50 fulls and to do 100 halves. So I've accomplished the first 3 goals, and this is the last of the 4 goals.
Why do you run?
I do it for my health, but also for my mental health as well. You know, there was a time when I've had 3 injuries over the last 5 years. It's been a tough last 5 years. I had sciatica a couple of times, and then I had 2 knee surgeries on the same knee. And during those periods where I wasn't able to run, I could find other ways to exercise, but there's something about being out on the road, running. I don't listen to music. It gives me time to collect my thoughts. And so it's some people meditate, some people pray, some people do other things to find that solitude, that peace. And for me, running provides that.
When did you start running?
Well, I actually started running when I was in high school, training for football. And then I decided that I actually liked running and ran on the track team and the cross country team. I did a couple of mini triathlons in my early 20s, but really there was a fairly long period from mid-20s to age 43 where I just ran occasionally for recreation, but at age 43 I decided to run climb my first mountain. So I climbed Rainier. At the end of the climb, I thought, I'm in the best shape I've been in a long time. I should take advantage of this and run a marathon because I've always wanted to do a marathon. And they say, you either run one or you run a bunch. Nobody runs two. You either hated it or you liked it. And I liked it. And it started off a mountain in the winter and a marathon in the fall. But for a couple reasons. One, mountain climbing was a little too dangerous. Jenny decided she didn't want me doing that anymore. And it was really hard having to start and stop every year. So I decided I'd run throughout the year. So I'd say the real passion for running started when I was 43, which would be now 23 years ago.
What has been your favorite marathon of all that you've run?
Well, there's a lot of them, but I always say my favorite marathon is New York. I've done it 17 times in a row, and the thing about New York, there's 55,000 runners from 130 different countries, 2 million fans all along the way. It's just fun being in New York, running through all the boroughs. So it's a spectacle. It's just fun to be a part of the whole thing. But there's a lot. London is really, really fun. We went to Sydney this past year, and we really enjoyed that. So one of the things too that running marathons around the world gives you an excuse to travel. Now Jenny points out, we could just go here and not run, but we may try that one day too.
What is in your favorite half marathon?
Well, I'll say clearly it's Knoxville for a lot of reasons. One, all the family and friends are here. Every road that you run down, there's in other races there are people that are cheering you on, but here you know everybody. It's like, oh, here's somebody from church, or here's somebody that you grew up with, or here's somebody from work, and so that's really fun just to see familiar faces cheering you on.
So how would you describe the Knoxville Marathon to a person who's tackling it for the first time? Half marathon.
It's hard.
In a word.
You didn't ask the other question. What is the hardest half marathon you've done? And Knoxville's the hardest. It's the hilliest. Nashville's got a few hills, but by far Knoxville's the hilliest half marathon. Now, I purposely look for flat marathons and flat half marathons, but I'm doing this one because it's my hometown. But it is a very hilly course.
So what advice can you impart to a person who is tackling it for the first time as you say, yes, this is a hard marathon, half marathon?
Yeah. Just remember your pace. If you haven't run many or any before, you know what your pace is in training. You're not going to miraculously be faster on race day, but you'll be excited. You'll start off probably going faster than you should. Don't. Remember your pace and stay at your pace. Stay hydrated. There's something I tell myself is fall downhill and charge uphill. So when you're going down, just hey, this is a free mile. Just enjoy the free mile. When you go up, just attack it. So yes, I actually on my training run Sunday, I took a picture of the Knowlton sign. I was going to post it, but I didn't. But my post was just going to say, if you know, you know. If you ran this race, you know Knowlton. Everybody talks about it, but there's others. Like when you get to, I think it's 21st Street off of Cumberland. That's actually the worst because it's kind of you're at the end of the race and you're only got a mile or two left to go, and then you've got that last hill and you're also much more tired. So I always dread that one even more. Knowlton, it's like mile 7 or 8, so you still got enough energy to charge it and you're prepared for it. But I think the 21st Street hill is maybe my least favorite.
It's that gradual.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your favorite spot along the route. Is there just a place that you're aiming for because it gives you, I guess, a sense of, okay, I'm almost there, but it's beautiful because it is a beautiful, beautiful route. The city's beautiful.
So I think, well, I'm not sure if I've ever thought about it's fun all along the way. It's fun at the start. The mayor and the president from Covenant Health are there. Jason Altman, who's been a great supporter all these years, are there. So it's kind of a lot of energy. Everybody's excited to start. Running down Cherokee Boulevard with all the dogwoods and the trees. That's beautiful. I think though maybe my favorite is after you finish Knowlton and you come around the corner and you get on the Third Creek Greenway. I run that a lot for training, but it's relatively flat. It's wooded, and you're on your way. So now you've got about 3 miles of relatively flat course, and that's kind of okay, I've done the hard part. Now just got that one hill left on 21st, and then I'll be home.
Do you have a goal as far as time goes for this race?
You know, so I am embarrassed to say this. I would say, so I am old and I am slow, so I've got a lot of excuses. But I just want to break 2 hours. You know, there was a time when I just, as long as I didn't break 2 hours, I would be okay. Now I'm on the other side of it, trying to get. Since the knee surgery, I've been much slower, but we're getting back.
How was that recovery? And then how soon after surgery were you back to running?
Yeah, so the first surgery I had, it was in the spring of 2023. We tried to do some kind of patch. There's all kinds of things wrong. I had no ACL, torn meniscus, loose cartilage and floating around, then no cartilage between the knee and the femur. So they fixed everything, tried to do a patch so I wouldn't have to do knee replacement. That didn't. 5 months later, in the middle of a training session one day, it fell apart, and I realized I had to do surgery again. The doctor told me, well, you're going to have to do a partial knee replacement. You'll never run again. That was a sad day. But the more we talked about it, the only reason why he said I wouldn't run again is because nobody had done it before, or at least he didn't know if anybody had done it before. But there was nothing technically wrong with why you should be able to not be able to continue to run. So we decided, well, let's just try. I can be the guinea pig. So anyway, did the second surgery, the partial knee replacement in November of 2023. I ran the next half marathon was the Knoxville half marathon in April, and then 3 weeks later I did the London full marathon. So 4 months to do a half, and 5 months to do a full. Since then I've done, I think it's 5 fulls, 6 fulls, and 8 halves in the last 2 years since the surgery. Dr. Etkin, I'll put a plug in for him. University of Orthopedics did a great job, and anybody that I talk to that says they're thinking about getting a knee replacement, I tell them to go ahead and do it. It's like, you know, and sometimes you hear people say, well, I need to protect my knees, and you know, if I have knee surgery, my running will be over. See, it's kind of like having a car. You know, you say, well, you know, I'm going to have to get new tires. Maybe I'm going to just have to stop driving so I don't have to use it all the time. You just replace the tires. You just replace the knees. It's not that big a deal.
How long do you want to keep running? Forever?
Forever. Oh, yeah, so at least I want to be that guy at age 90 at the New York City Marathon that the street sweepers are kind of pushing along, saying, "Hey, buddy, we got to close this thing up. You've got to keep going." That's the guy I want to be.
That's the goal. That's the goal. I have to ask about the race you did, Antarctica.
Yes, I did one in Antarctica. That was in
What was
December.
that like?
Well, it was cold, but it wasn't as cold as you would think it would have been. I got a little bit lucky. I was there, unlucky and lucky. I had to wait 5 days for bad weather, so I'm stranded in this little town of Punta Arenas in southern Chile, waiting for the storm to go through. But finally, when we went through, kind of like oftentimes it is after a storm, it was a balmy 15 degrees, got down to 0 at midnight, which I sound like I'm being facetious, but it was actually okay. And the hardest part about the race, well, the hardest part is getting there. The second hardest part is the terrain. The terrain, I was assuming, you know, I had to deal with the wind and the weather, but you just assume if it's a race, it's going to be on some kind of surface that you could run on. It was going to be some compressed trail of some sort, and that was wrong. It's basically, if you could imagine like a groomed trail at a ski resort, the snow was packed, but your feet are sinking and sliding every step of the way, and that was very tedious. I got about a mile into it and realized what I was up against. I thought, at this point, I just want to make sure I can finish this without twisting an ankle or just spraining a knee. So I think it is my slowest marathon of 5 hours and 26 minutes. But out of 57 runners, I came in 16th. So we're all dealing with the same conditions.
I'll call that a win.
I
call that a win. Exactly.
There's a lot of races I'll do again. That one probably not.
Yeah,
just too much.
Understandably. So did you have to wear special shoes or anything like that?
No, actually, people always ask about the gear, but I had my normal running tights. I used trail shoes with some fairly aggressive tread and just maybe 3 layers. It wasn't, but the other thing that you have to be careful with there is just sunburn, because the sun reflecting back on the snow. Right. So you're covered up and with suntan old gloves, balaclava, to make sure you don't get sunburned. So,
I'd hate to deviate in this direction, but it is part of your journey, if you will. You did run the Boston Marathon.
I ran the Boston Marathon 3 times.
And one particular time ended in tragedy.
Yes.
In Boston. Talk about that experience.
It's one thing, if you run enough marathons, you'll have a lot of interesting experiences. I've ran across the Grand Canyon a couple of times. I've been, in Boston one time when it was like 90-something degrees. That was not good. But definitely to guide a blind runner from Peru to his first marathon in New York with Team Achilles. That was a very moving moment, but the scariest by far was in Boston. So that was, I think, 2013, if I recall correctly. Yeah, I'd finished the race. It was, again, another warm Boston Marathon. Usually after a really warm race, I can get cramps, so I decided to hang out close to the first aid tent, which was just like 2 blocks from the end of the race, so I could get water if I need to. If I started cramping really bad, I could get help. And so I'm just standing there, and then all of a sudden I heard this big explosion. And I thought, it sounded like somebody shot off a cannon. And I thought, why would somebody be shooting a cannon this time of race? I just didn't understand it. So I turned to my right and saw all this debris coming out from the side of the building. And then at that split second, another bomb hit or went off. You see debris, another big explosion coming off the side of the building. And at that moment, you don't know if it's 2 or there's going to be hundreds more. It looked like somebody was shooting missiles at us. And everybody's exhausted. The organizers say, walk in the opposite direction. So, with everybody else, the thousands of other runners, we all start walking away from the site. But it was an incredibly scary time.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's bring it back to Knoxville.
Thank you.
Exactly, and I hate to bring that up because I know it definitely brings back bad memories. But Knoxville is a special marathon. It's a special place. Talk about what this marathon, half marathon, has meant to this community, this city, and beyond, because so many people come to this race for whatever reason it may be, to the challenge or just the beauty.
Yeah, so I get to run marathons all over the world, from Cape Town to Antarctica to Angkor Wat in Cambodia. But when you do that, you also want your hometown to be able to represent like some of these other communities you do. And it's great to see so many runners coming out. Some are doing 5Ks and relays, but everybody participating. I think it kind of brings our community together. People that I bumped into this morning at the coffee shop, the 2 young ladies behind it say they're both running the half marathon and they're all excited. So it brings some energy to the community. Just really thankful for everybody that's been behind this for so many years, like Jason Allman. These things are hard to pull off. I appreciate his efforts. I appreciate our sponsors like Covenant Health. Everybody in the community that has come together to help support this race. It's a special race.
Yes, it is. All right, to wrap us up, we got a little lightning round.
Okay.
Okay, so favorite pre-race meal?
Usually apple walnut cake at Starbucks.
Okay, favorite post-race meal?
Something unhealthy, either a cheeseburger or chips or something that I would normally not eat.
Carbs, lots of carbs, and sweets.
Mostly
sweets.
Grease and salt and
Okay.
all the things.
Yeah, you got to replenish that sodium that you sweated. Music or no music? I think you answered this early. Yeah. Early miles, final miles. As far as your favorites.
Oh, early miles. Usually like mile 3. So you've got the jitters out and you're now cruising, and then always the favorite mile is the last mile, yeah. Whether it's mile 12 or mile 25.
And final question: best place in Knoxville to celebrate after the race?
Oh, this is a commercial message. Boyd's Jig and Rail.
And with that, I say thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
And that was my conversation with UT System President Randy Boyd, philanthropist, businessman, all-around great guy, as he gets ready to mark a milestone this Sunday, hitting his 100th half marathon at the Covenant Half Marathon Sunday here in Knoxville. More of our conversation with him throughout the days leading up to Sunday. And stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, today we are following along with 10 News anchor John Becker. Early this morning, he and dozens of veterans took the final honor air flight to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., where those veterans are throughout the day seeing the monuments that were built in their honor. Here is an update from JB.
We made it to the gate area. What a moment for veterans walking through the honor guard as they come up and get ready for what is going to be one of the most memorable days of their lives, no question. I just spoke to a Vietnam veteran who was part of the airlift in the evacuation of Saigon at the end of the war, and he pulled some 700 refugees out of harm's way. He's just one of the many stories that are flying to Washington, D.C. to see the memorials built in their honor today. We're glad you're along with us.
And John will continue to share stories from Washington from that final honor air flight throughout the day on 10 News. Up next, we're going to have more from meteorologist Cassie Nall. She is going to have our ever popular weather recap. And then we have some fun events we want to dive into with 10 News anchor Brittany Bailey. She has our all-new 10 About Town podcast, and that is our time for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you a little later today, starting at 4 o'clock on 10 About Town with all the day's news and headlines.